birthday?
He's right here.
Was that tea?
I think he would tell us right there.
Slow night, huh?
Up here?
Yes, please, thank you.
I just do what I'm told.
Figured you guys like this just like me, to do this when we finished our picks rather than making you wait another hour and a half or two. So, yeah.
Deadline is, I think, 9:45.
Ooh.
Talk fast.
Talk fast. Wait, what time is it?
9:21.
Oh, yeah, we can just do 2 minutes. It's fine.
All right, this is not.
They could leave.
Really happy with how the draft played out. A lot of the times, I'm just so proud of our staff, all the work that we've put in over the last couple years for this draft. And we're doing work for 24 already. There's a feeling in the draft room when the draft starts, like you prepare. It's almost like preparing for a test. Like you remember, like the days that you prepare really well, and so then you go in there and you feel really good because you're controlling what you can control. And so we felt like we could have made these picks a week ago. With all the stuff that we did, it was just more debating and figuring it out and setting the board, and then it just starts, and you're not in control of every pick, but you're prepared to make quick decisions on phone calls coming in about moving down, moving out, moving around, moving up. And the way the draft board fell really took a fortunate turn for us. We got two of the guys that we had in our top 10 players, frankly, that we were debating out of which one to take at 9, and we ended up getting both of them. And at 28, getting a player that we had in our top 18 was really, really good. So we fielded a lot of calls, people asking, trying to get those picks, or us moving out or acquiring some capital, but at the end of the day, we added 3 really talented, good prospects, but also high character guys that we think we can get better and have a skill set that we think we can maximize.
3 college freshmen. It seems like all of these guys have.
They're all freshmen these days. I didn't even really think about that. I think it'd be more of a record if I took 2 seniors.
Was there kind of a, did you, just given that you said after the season that you weren't going to be rushed into a timeline, you wanted things to proceed naturally, did you view this draft and these guys as an opportunity to really kind of like take swings on the upside?
So we, in some of our stuff that we've talked about, like the draft is the opportunity to add what is the most rare quality to acquire in the NBA, which is talent. The thing about the draft is that every draft pick, especially young ones, especially 19-year-olds, they all need development. They need development of that talent and growth, as opposed to where we are in a timeline of our team. We're not in a point where we can go, hey, I need somebody who can get on the court for 10 minutes and fill one specific role, and that's it. We need guys that have an upside and a chance to grow with the right kind of development, with the right kind of hard work, and whatever timeline. I think that's an asset that we have with Will Hardy and our staff. You've seen different lines of development, however that is taken, with whether it's Lowry, late, middle career, or it's Walker or Ochai, and we're looking forward to, helping maximize those developmental paths for these 3, with Taylor, with Keyonte, and with Brice. So I guess the long-winded way to answer your question is, it's not that we're leaning into youth, it's more like we're leaning into talent and getting as many talented players on the roster. And now obviously the work begins with developing them and seeing what roles they can fill in a short-term period, or what kind of their early development timeline, and then with expected, where they can top out.
With Taylor Hendricks, what did you like most about his game, and where do you see improvement?
So Taylor is, he was able to come in with that for us. He wasn't able to work out. He had a late injury in the process, nothing big. It just happens when you start doing 5, 6, 7, 8 workouts. But we wanted to get him in, and a few things stand out. One, his length, his ability already to make open shots. He's got very good instincts as a help side shot blocker. He's smart. So like already like does work early on the defensive end. So he's got some defensive instincts. You know, as you and I have joked, Andy, that, you know, most rookies aren't very good. And most guys all of them need to learn how to play an NBA level of defense, but he's got some talent there. He's got some, you know, athletic, you know, genes, but also a brain for it. And then the development side for him is where can we get his, you know, individual game in terms of attacking closeouts and getting stronger. He's got to get stronger. And he's got the frame to do it. He's got the work ethic to do it. He's a high character kid. I really enjoyed getting to know and interviewing. So just really excited about those measurables, adding positional size with, you know, a few things that, you know, could help a team, but mainly the overall package that he already has that, like what else can we build on that to get the most out of him? I'll just go on Keyonte. I think has probably the most diversified offensive developed skill set maybe in the draft. You know, we can talk about, you know, the guys that went up top, but Keyonte's been doing it for a long time at a very, very high level in high school competition, and he has all the shots that some people can't ever learn. So the crucial thing for him, he's done a great job on his body over the last 3 months. He's got a confidence about him of being a scorer, but has very good vision. And obviously we've got to get to work on where he fits into the team and how he coincides and grows but right now he's already an offensive weapon. But I think, you know, what we're hoping as we work with him that there's going to be more that way because he's got the athletic tools to be a good defender. He's smart. He's a good passer. I can see him playing on the ball and off the ball. But just really talented guard. And then with Brice, so I didn't, you know, I know you guys hear this. It's like when doctors come out and say, yes, the surgery was successful. I know every time there's a draft, they're like, oh, I didn't expect him to be here. I didn't expect him to be here at 28. That was not something, you know, so when he started slipping a little bit, at least in our rankings, we started getting a bunch of calls from teams trying to move in, and we just kept waiting to see if there was a chance that we actually even had made some attempts to move up after we selected Keyonte from 28 when we had a couple guys that we were looking at to try to do that. And he fell to us, and just so excited to add a guy that has pro shots as well. I mean, you go back and look at his film, like he makes and takes NBA pro shots. I think for him, continuing to get better on the defensive end, he's got a body that you can't teach. He's very gifted athletically. We've got to do some molding in terms of, you know, him getting stronger and leaning out a little bit, but he can do so many things with the ball. He's an underrated passer, and he's smart too. And I think the more in shape that he gets, and he was limited a little bit this year with some knee stuff. That's not a big deal for us, but over the next few months, like getting that just settled down will allow him to, you know, really go to work in the weight room. And I think he can be a guy with a body like that can stay in front of wings, and his feet are good enough for guards, but he's already strong. So just taking advantage of that.
Do you expect all of them to play at Summer League?
Yeah, because we didn't do any trades. They're all our picks. I think obviously overall health, you know, Taylor had a soft tissue injury, so got to see where that is. Keyonte came and worked out. I think he's fine. I mean, we'll get him in here and we'll have health performance. Like, if anything, it'll be a health performance evaluation, but I do know with all three of these guys, because of the draft process, you know, agents, and I understand, and even in our draft workouts, they don't get to play fives. So they haven't played fives for like 3 months. They're all like dying to play. So there may be a little bit of us making sure that they're good, but I would hope that they'd be able to play.
Yeah, Taylor seemed very excited about playing with Summer
Yeah, he was so mad when he couldn't work out for us because it was a late injury, and when he came in, he was just sitting there like. So, yeah.
Do you feel like you improved the overall shot profile of the roster?
I think we added more talent to be able to do that. I mean, I think each of them still like, Will's so good about when and how they're going to get on the floor and doing those things, but there's things that they need to learn first. But all three of the guys can shoot. All three of them have different bodies, but athleticism. I think all three are smart. I think all three are high character. So talent is still, I've talked with you guys before, like talent is still the most rare thing, but when you combine it with character and some athletic gifts that, there's certain things that we talk about, what can you teach and what you can't teach. And a lot of these guys have a few things that you can't teach or that they've already learned at such a high level that there's certain ways they can help a team immediately while we're working on the other stuff.
Do you like how Taylor fits with Lowry and Walker?
I like how he fits with just overall how we want to play. It's a big that can space. He can get hopefully be able to switch as he gets stronger. Good instincts, be able to a willing passer. So it's not just so much with this or this. It's a guy that I don't want to make any comparisons to him yet because it's like a molding clay, but he profiles as a guy that's easy to play with lots of different combinations, especially as his skill set improves.
Speaking of profiles, do you see Keyonte being able to be a point guard?
Yes. I think he, look, the term point guard is a little, there aren't very many of them anymore. Like if you ask like a traditional point guard 15 years ago, we obviously had a really great one here and a couple really great ones. And you ask those guys, is Steph Curry a point guard? 15 years ago, they'd be like, no, he's not point guard. He plays point guard. So the biggest thing that we're trying to do is get guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. And Keyonte can do all of those things. So how that fits, it allows versatility where bringing the ball up against pressure, he's got a handle. He can isolate, he can pass, he can run pick and roll. You don't have one guy thinking about the other four guys all the time on the team and just like controlling the ball. If they're doing this, it's because they're isolating and they're trying to score, which he can do that too. So yeah, I don't think it's not like is he a 2, is he a 1? I think he's a guard. And we want guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot.
As much as you can you kind of describe what it was like in your guys' room as you're realizing like how things are falling?
Yeah. So 2 days ago, and it wasn't just me, it's all of us. But I wrote down the scenario like that I thought was most likely with other teams. It wasn't like sort of a mock, but just more a market one, not. And then you put it against who we like, and so like who's going to be there. So that's like when Bart was being interviewed, it's like how many tiers? It's like you have to have 9 guys, right? Because we're picking at 9 unless we move out. So it was more of like without trading up or down, meaning what we're in our control. Like these are the 9 guys, and then where's 10 in the rankings? And we had Taylor and Keyonte 9 and 10. And then the board started falling not the way I would have done it from after 9 to 16. And we got the guy that was highest there. And then from after, as soon as you get later, you've got teams trying to trade in and random. You can't predict it. Like you go back and like look at a mock from like 18 down to 30. That's where most of the misses are in terms of predictions, because there's just more information that we have than the public doesn't have. I didn't know if Brice would fall, but like I said, we had him in our top 18, and he's at 28. And it's like, that's great. If it was like the 25th or 26th guy on our board and somebody calls and says move down, because chances are it's not going to go exactly that far. we can maybe predict a board to 9 or 10 players, which we did, or 9 players. The rest of it just gets crazy, so.
Pretty good.
Yeah, sorry. You now head into free agency with a bundle of cap space.
I believe so, yes.
That period, and
Yep.
what are some of your plans for that?
We'll get to, I mean, we've been working on it. I mean, in terms of studying it, I've always told you guys, like, the draft, trades, free agency, they're all tied together in terms of building the team. So we've finished one piece. And so roster building, where we can continue to acquire talent. And then there are probably some role pieces that we'll look at of just like filling in the team on certain parts. So yeah, that work starts tomorrow. So maybe a couple days when we start. We'll give the guys the weekend off.
Do you have a general idea of what you're looking for in free agency, or?
Are you just setting me, giving me the softball again? Good players. You ran right into it again, Tony.
Playing athleticism, like, is there a?
Good players. Good players. I mean, all those things are good too. Length, athleticism, shooting ability, basketball IQ. Yeah. Yeah.
How many Red Bulls have you had tonight?
Oh my God. I'm actually on a flight tonight, so probably like 7 or 8 today.
I took the over on like 15.
No, not 15. It'd be, yeah, it'd be like 7 or 8. Yeah, but 7 or 8 since like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So 12-hour period.
I'll ask a real quick serious question, sorry. There was a lot of talk from us folks about you guys trying to move up and maybe get someone you like higher up.
Yeah.
Was there real efforts toward that? Did that get close at all? Or?
So when you had as many picks as we did, and roster availability and cap space and future picks, like we're very popular. You know, either us having a lot of tools to say, hey, we can identify this and try to engage teams, and also teams that are calling us like, hey, you know, so it's a series of conversations that start, you know, probably basically after the lottery when the draft is set, about what team needs are and that, and you're just trying to find if there's matches. So what you end up doing, most of it is on the clock. That's why you see so few, like I don't know how many trades we saw, like Oklahoma City and Denver, like swapping some picks, but that was more to get a pick now so they can pick a guy and give a future. You know, Lakers moving up to like 40 the day of today. So most of it's like what we call on the clock. Like if our guy's there or if our guy's not there, then we would do A, B, and C. So we had a number of scenarios that were set up, but they all felt like, and this, we prepare like this every year, but it just felt like that we were going to select 9, 16, and 28. Yeah, like especially at the top. That's how it went. And then 16 and 28, you get a lot of play from teams when their guys falling, but the teams that I really like dealing with are the ones that do their work early. And I'm probably one of the most proactive colleagues of my colleagues in the league, like, that do our work early, so I just know, like, but there's always some random one that calls like 10 minutes, you know, it's like the 13th pick, and like, hey, would you do this and this? And like, we've never talked about it in a month. I'm like, no, not going to do that. And I expect more of those later in the first, because you just don't know where people are going to go, and then what they have, and what did they get, and what did they miss out on. And so what we try to prepare for just every scenario so that we can make really good, quick decisions.
Did you guys have Brice in for a workout?
No. We interviewed him, though. Got his medical, watched a bunch of video, saw him in person. So we do that. We're good. He also had a little bit of a injury during the pre-draft process that's kept him out, where he had a very, very short window to like see teams. So sometimes you just run out of days. So we just wanted to make sure we had all enough information that we were comfortable to take him, which obviously we were.
Maybe just results are enough here, but you guys picked, I think, 2 guys who weren't expected to be one and dones that became one and dones, and then 1 guy, you know.
Yeah, Keyonte, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel, how do you like kind of evaluate that trajectory, if you will? Of
Well,
the guys
that means they really improved quickly, which is good. And it's not just on a one-year basis. So all of these guys played, you know, EYBL, high school basketball, pretty high-level leagues. So over a period of time. So, I mean, we've been watching all of that to get a sense of, like, where's the development. I think especially this year you've seen, I think the 3 we drafted had overall very successful college, you know, pretty successful college seasons. There are a number of other guys where it was a little more murky, where you really had to dig in high school because they just weren't in the same role. They were highly rated recruits, but just weren't in the same role in college. And so that part is like the discerning part. And we didn't draft them because they had a good season in college. It was just like, okay, they were able to show their skill sets, and then we were able to project. And there were other guys that we really liked as well that maybe didn't have as good of a situation, but we felt really good about what they would look like with us based on high school and interviews and medical and testing and all that stuff.
This was your first draft with Danny,
Mhm.
because last year there was nothing.
Yeah, no, Danny and I last year were like this.
Yeah. So how did it differ with him in the room, maybe compared to previous years?
Well, I think most importantly, like last year, he was still getting to know us. And, you know, we've been together like a year and a half now or so, which is unbelievable. He's awesome to work with, has so much experience. He likes our staff. There's relationships there. And then I think his perspective, pointing out questions, things that in his experience of like, hey, we missed this one time in a draft, or we looked at this, and just sitting around and talking and debating out, and it's just great. He doesn't ever have a bad day. And I don't know if I'd have a bad day too if I was Danny Age, but what a pleasure to learn from him, to have him as a resource for his support of all of us. He's like, guys, I'm here to like help you guys make decisions and, you know, add support or organization when needed, and it's just great.
Bart kind of mentioned that too, that like there were things that maybe in previous years that like the staff like hadn't really like keyed in on or something, that he would be like, this isn't really like high priority to me. Can you kind of give us any examples?
Yeah, I think that's just like there's a lot of people that have been, not a lot, but there's been a good amount of people in the NBA that have been successful at this job, but do it different ways. So you can get to the same, maybe it's not even the same conclusion, but in terms of team building and things like that. So, you know, my mentors, you know, before I got to work with Danny, were very good at their jobs. They did it in different ways. I learned from both of them, and I've learned from Danny, but it's like learning to be your own, you're taking perspective from people. And I don't think I could ask for a better set of mentors than I've had in my career. And Danny's unique, and he's still also very, very open. Like, you know, as we've told you, we're very, very collaborative about it, and people's opinions matter, and our staff really, really worked. And so when you work, you deserve to have an opinion, to feel heard. And I think we both do a good job of making sure that happens with our staff.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Would you like to see you guys again?
Yeah. Anytime you want.